Hey, you there?
Yeah.
Okay, great. All right, looks like we have you on here. So I was just wanting to follow up. I saw that you all put Wounded Warrior Project on your watch list. I guess was that Friday or Saturday? Can you explain to us when and the decision making behind that?
Yes, we put them on the watch list on Friday as a result of the news items that came out last week in CBS and the New York Times calling into question some of their ways in which they operate and the concerns expressed by some of the former employees.
How often do you move a charity to your watch list?
We have a committee that meets weekly, and there's usually a couple charities each week that may be put on our watch list or our donor advisory list. The watch list is kind of letting donors know, hey, we rate this charity, but there are some items that you may want to consider before giving to them. Mm-hmm. It would escalate to a donor advisory if there was, for example, an investigation by Attorney General's office into illegal activity. Then we would strip the charity of a rating and say, do you really want to pause your giving to this charity?
So how concerning were the allegations made against Wounded Warrior Project?
I think based on the feedback that we've heard from donors, they're quite concerned. I think many people give to charities in this space because they give with their heart. Who doesn't want to help America's heroes? But I think it was enlightening for many donors to see that, maybe not every charity is doing what you want with your contribution. And so I think it's been a big concern for a lot of donors that they've maybe had their trust rattled a bit here.
So, Wounded Warrior Project CEO Steve Nardizzi has routinely answered criticism from charity watch groups like yourself, Charity Navigator, Charity Watch, on Huffington Post, or he also did it with another news agency last year, saying basically he rejects your rating system and refuses to have to talk about overhead when he only wants to talk about impact. Mm-hmm. How does Charity Navigator respond to that?
Yeah, right now our rating system looks at the financial performance of charities as well as their accountability and transparency practices. We are looking to evolve our rating system so that we can take into account impact. But it's up for charities to actually measure and report publicly on that information. And the research we've done thus far, there's just a few charities doing that work. So until we have that information more publicly available, it's very hard to rate charities on that metric.
Do you feel like it's concerning if a CEO doesn't want to talk about overhead?
I think it's concerning anytime a charity won't answer questions about its operations. I think great charities out there are willing to stand behind whatever decisions they make and speak to their donors about that. So we usually tell donors it's a red flag if a charity won't answer your questions.
Are you a little surprised at Charity Navigator that the CEO has not answered any questions in light of these reports here locally in Jacksonville where they're headquartered as well as nationally?
They haven't responded to us. Whenever we put an organization on our watch list or our donor advisory list, we give them an opportunity to respond. So we give them 2 business days to get back to us if there's something that we should know, or if they want to provide a statement to live alongside the watch list or donor advisory, and they haven't responded to us. I do think that I've heard that they've posted some stuff online on their own website, but they haven't provided anything for us to share with our audience.
Is that rare, or do you normally hear back from a charity if they're placed on the watch list?
Most of the time we hear back.
Okay. Can you explain possibly, I also spoke with Charity Watch, and they have them rating a C and 54% going back to programs, where you all have 59.9% or 60% going back to programs. Do you possibly know where the disparity comes in there?
I'm not sure. I haven't looked at their rating. I think you have to purchase them. They don't have their information on the website. I'm not sure if that's changed, so I can't speak to their rating. But ours, the information comes from the charity's most recent 990, and in this case, we've done a joint cost allocation. So not to get too far into the weeds, but charities are allowed to take some of their fundraising mailings and activities and count that towards programs on the 990. We generally will back that information out if it seems like no, what they're really doing is fundraising. We're all quite aware of vets and their needs. That's not this charity's mission. They're supposed to be providing services, so we don't really see how those mailings are actually programmatic based. So we'll back that data, reverse that transaction that is seen on the 990. I'm not sure if that's what the other rating group did as well, or
they told me
not.
they looked at the independent audited financials, and they said that
Gotcha.
they thought y'all looked at the 990s. So they said that would be the difference. And then also, so by looking at the independent audited financials, they took out in-kind contributions as well.
Okay.
So you all don't even look at that. You just focus on the 990s.
Yes.
Okay, so that might explain the difference there.
Yeah.
So you're all just saying that you don't count the mailers they send as an ask,
as a program,
and they're
as a program activity.
And they're adding that in along with the postage to send those mailers out as programs.
Yeah, a whole bunch of their fundraising activities they list on their 990 as being programmatic. So I think when they talk about their ratios, they list ratios that are somewhat higher into programs. I think they were saying 80% or something.
Yes, that's what they're saying.
That's why we have a different number, because we generally take those activities were fundraising in nature and not programmatic.
What would you all want to see from Wounded Warrior Project now to get them off your watch list and address the concerns of the public?
It'd be good to have a statement from them that talks about their impact and the results. I'm not sure that there's one thing that the committee would necessarily want to see to have them removed. Generally, organizations stay on the watch list for at least 6 months, just as a way to make sure that the public knows about this information and to make sure that there's no other issues of concern that come to light.
So we could expect them to stay on there for at least the next 6 months?
Yes.
And you all have a board that put them on the watch list?
We have a committee, yes.
A committee. Okay, great. Is there anything else you'd like to add about the Wounded Warrior Project?
I just think in general, just as we were discussing before, I think a lot of donors have had their trust rattled by this story, and I think it's important to note that there are many charities out there working hard, especially in this area of helping veterans and military families, and to not be afraid to give, just to make sure you do your research before you do donate.
Okay. Anything else you'd like to add?
That's it.
Thank you so much for your time. I really, really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Sorry it was challenging to connect
no,
today.
it's totally fine.
It's like meeting Monday around here.
Oh, gosh. I totally understand. Is there any way you have a headshot of yourself that we could put with our phonographic?
Yes.
If
I can send you that now.
That'd be great. Thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure. Have
Take
a nice
care.
day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.